Good evening and welcome. Happy New Year. Welcome to the After Hours show. This is Joe Snowden in Norway. I'm joined by Ann Lee, retired college professor and community member at the Daily Coast. She's a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Evening, Ann.
Hey there, Joe. What's for
All right.
supper?
Well, I was very excited this week. I was gonna do a traditional Turkish dessert, semolina irmek halvası, which is a semolina cake, I guess you could say. It was one of the tastiest things I had when we were recently in Turkey, and it requires coarse semolina and fat, such as butter and sugar. It's basically a porridge suspension. It is deceptively simple and completely elegant and lovely. If you love the taste of semolina, oh, it's a gloriously simple traditional Ottoman dessert, which
Well,
I'm unable to make this week because we're snowed in under nearly 5 feet of snow, and I haven't been able to get to the grocery. So I've got just a handful of ingredients. I do have semolina, but it's too fine a grain. It's more for pasta. And I've got potatoes, and I've got this lovely sage that I picked up at a grocery in Oslo. It's very difficult to get fresh sage in Norway unless you grow it yourself. Um, not even it's not, it's just not part of the cuisine. So you don't come across marjoram or sage. Certain things just aren't around. So I made my mother stuffing the other day, and I was very happy. So I've got. I also don't have any olive oil, so we're taking a little non-vegetarian departure here. I've got some animal product here. Oopsies, forgive me, John. Don't kill me. Got some butter, so I'm gonna make potato gnocchi with brown butter and sage and garlic.
nice.
Oh, soul food.
Yeah, we'll forgive you for the vegan fowl there. Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is I've already boiled, not boiled, I've steamed taters. So I've got about 500 grams. I'll tell you about the recipe, and then you can get to yammering about all of the wonderful things happening in the world. But I'll just
Okay.
upfront give you the directions, and then anybody can just interrupt and ask, stop me during the whole process. It's dead simple. Basic recipe: 1 kilo of steamed potatoes or oven roasted. The drier, the better, but don't boil them because then they'll get too heavy with the flour. 1 kilo of potatoes to 200 grams, 250 grams of flour. Pinch of salt, scrape of muscat, or muscat is nutmeg. Gently fold it until it just comes together, not too much, otherwise it'll be too heavy. Roll it in, let it sit for 10 minutes. Roll it in the snakes, cut them into little pieces, press them with the gnocchi roller or a fork or the back of a grater. And then cook them in salted water, and they float in about a minute and a half, maybe less. Depends on how much flour you use. But that's the recipe for gnocchi. If you've got boiled potatoes from the day before, just skin them and rice them, and then you can make gnocchi. The easy leftover dish, excellent pasta. So
Nice.
that's the plan.
Okay.
A few things happened this week, eh?
Oh, busy week.
Hmm.
Net neutrality got struck down yesterday by the
Jesus.
Sixth Circuit. You know, net neutrality came back with the Biden administration. Now it's gone again. So
Mhm.
that means that some things are going to be more expensive. Some things are going to be slower. You're not going to be able to, it'll affect delivery. The U.S. is lags behind the world in a lot of things like network speed and stuff like that. So, it's the same stuff. Net neutrality favors market concentration and by certain the bigger uh, systems of live streaming, et cetera, or whatever. Bandwidth is going to get weird, and it's not equitable. So there'll be differences. That's so that happened yesterday, but our week was started weird. I mean, there was of course combat continuing, but I'll talk about that in a moment. It was all of the same nonsense, Trumpian nonsense. Uh, People and some disappointment on the MAGA side for not understanding that the grocery prices are not going to go down. They voted for lower grocery prices. That's not happening. Um, Fuel prices will probably either stay the same or even go up a little bit, even despite the seasonal stuff. And let's see, I think at the beginning of the week ago was the tankers seized by the Finns, because that's still been lagging through. They were finding a little bit more about Finnish seizures of tankers and more things about sanctions and stuff. So there's a lot of action in the Baltics. Um, Usual saber rattling. Georgia has something going on. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going on. There's still street stuff. There's um, the difference between folks who are in charge and those who are not in charge. And so Georgia always has these kinds of things. That is the country Georgia, not the state Georgia. And so there was that. The Russians are still advancing, but they've essentially, for over about a year, they've taken a back land or invaded land, probably about the size of Los Angeles County. That's the total amount of land they've advanced on. So all those claims about Russian advances are pretty much stupid. They've been throwing North Koreans at, and really terrible things are happening there. It just, they're just sending them out there to get killed. They do have this thing about sending. Well, there was the thing where it appears as if you're not getting well-trained Korean troops either. Some guy had a goodbye note attached to his body, and he was apparently a prisoner of some kind who had been conscripted into being sent off to Ukraine. So there was that. Uh, the latest news in the domestic front has has been the sort of 100,000 pay to pray stuff for the inauguration. You can donate lots of money. The money means that you get uh, a kind of entertainment package where if you go to the inaugural, you get to go to certain inaugural balls and stuff like that. It's a big money making deal. You just it is sad to think of all of those things going on and uh, money changing hands in all kinds of weird and strange ways. Uh, it's just hard to account for what Elon Musk has been doing, aside from promoting the Reform Party in Europe or England. He promoted the AfD, which is the right-wing party in the neo-Nazi party in Germany, and so that's been causing trouble. Apparently, Elon thinks he can really affect politics in a electoral politics in a country, and he thinks he's going to be able to displace the Labor Party. Um, the discovery of his sock puppet was this past week, I think. What's the guy's name? Adrian Titman or Dittman or something. He has a sock puppet on Twitter, on X, where he congratulates himself and compliments himself on his parenting. It's very odd. So that was just weird. You know, the sleuths, the internet sleuths, you know, kind of tracked down that it was pretty much yeah, it was his own sock. It was a sock puppet. Um and so there, needless to say, a whole bunch of Dittman related uh sock puppets also popped up all over the place, and so there was that going on. Um there was, of course, the two things that have been going on for the last couple of days, and that is uh I guess you could call them terror attacks, but they were pretty much very strange, suicidal, psychotic break things with a guy, and we're starting to get more of the video assembled. The guy in New Orleans who there were issues, and the guy proclaimed his allegiance to ISIS, and then decided to drive his large F-150 truck up on the sidewalk and down one of the busy Bourbon Street, I guess, in New Orleans. And this was the day before the Sugar Bowl and football game. And so that was just horrible. 15 or 16 people died. All the usual stories have come up, you know, stories with people who, of all, you know, economic classes and other things who were, you know, affected by this, people getting run over. What happened ultimately was that the guy crashed his truck into some sort of construction stuff, a crane or a an elevated platform of some kind, and then was shot by the police. So there was that. And then just a day later on New Year's Day, the guy who blew himself up, sort of blew himself up. He committed suicide and then set off a cache of explosives, of fireworks, and had a propane tank there as well inside a Cybertruck, a Tesla Cybertruck, and in front of in the part of the Trump Hotel that's called a Porte Cochere, Cochere, which is the covered entryway for vehicles, and so that was, you know, unfortunate, spectacular, and of course, like any good capitalist, the claims that the construction or the design of the Cybertruck prevented larger damage, which is not true. I mean, it directed the force of the flames of the fire explosion and vertically, but because it and this was a guy who, he has 5 Bronze Stars, 2 wives, like the other guy in New Orleans who was a veteran. This guy was active Army Special Forces. He could have created a actual IED, but he didn't. He sort of improvised to make something a little more spectacular, I suppose. And anyway, so both of these guys rented trucks using the same online app, which, set off a lot of people on conspiracy sort of tracks, tropes. They also both were at Fort Bragg, but they weren't there at the same time. They both may have been in Afghanistan at the same time, but not near each other. So, there's little overlaps, but not profound overlaps. So that's kind of what happened with that. Uh, Only one person was died in the attack on the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. The story's just much more complicated. There's stuff going on. The backstories for both of these fellows is pretty terrible and traumatic. Although one obviously had a higher death toll than the other. Um, I think we've become too inured to these kinds of attacks. People just moved fairly quickly through the story, and yet, we have a lot more reporting on it now that tells us how, there's sort of PTSD involved, a variety of other things engaged in these particular stories. So I'm not going to rant about it, but it did seem sort of a piece with the week in review. Our week in review includes Liz Cheney getting the nation's second highest citizens medal, which may be sloppy seconds next to the Medal of Freedom, I suppose. And I suppose that had Harris won, Liz Cheney would have gotten a Medal of Freedom. So there's kind of um, a second place participation trophy, I guess, for being on the January 6th committee. Oh, Benny Thompson got a medal, the Citizens Medal as well. So it was part of a larger sort of grouping of things. I think Liz Cheney was a little uncomfortable being up there with Biden because that photo of her with Biden is going to probably persist for sort of taint any sort of activity that she'll have in terms of the GOP politics if we can get past Trump. And fireworks, of course, there were fireworks displays, the usual array of fireworks accidents, including one in Moscow where fireworks went off in somebody's car, and that was kind of interesting. It made the interweb. For some reason, they didn't share they didn't set off fireworks in Moscow. A lot of people came out hoping that there would be fireworks over Red Square, but there were none. But there were, of course, drone and missile strikes all over the place. Some more spectacular than others. This week featured the first shooting down of one and probably two Mi-8 Russian helicopters over the Sea of Azov by a Ukrainian unmanned, unpersoned sea drone. So they have these little boats that are powered by jet ski type. It's like a little jet ski, but it has up to 300 kilograms of explosive in them. And so they were launching one going up somewhere. I think it came from Odessa and it was launched towards Sevastopol. And the thing is that the Russians have taken to a tactic of taking a fairly standard bog standard helicopter like the Mi-8, which is more of a transport helicopter, and they spend time shooting at these sea drones, marine drones. They've been fairly successful in blowing up stuff, and so. But the thing is, the Ukrainians, because they didn't like all these drones getting hit before they reached their target, they've been mounting what originally were air-to-air missiles. I think they're a kind of missile that you would mount on an aircraft, the R-37, and they mounted them on the sea drone. So you have two little rockets on the drone that get launched. So it's essentially a surface-to-air missile. And so they managed to take down a Russian helicopter with one of these missiles. So that's the first time a a sea-launched uh, uh, unmanned vehicle uh, you know took down a helicopter, and a second helicopter was damaged or may have gone down, but there was one that was damaged in that particular context. The Russians did themselves no favor this week. They shot down one of their own attack helicopters, more friendly fire. So that was interesting and stupid. And uh, and to end off our little week, and maybe I've gone too fast here, but uh, Donald decided that he would attack um, uh, the North Sea drilling platforms because a U.S. company apparently pulled out of North Sea drilling. There's not very many, or maybe it's a UK company doing North Sea drilling. Yes, I think it was a British company pulled out of it for some reason, and Trump just, usual, wasn't paying real attention, and he decided in his same Truth Social posting to attack windmills. Now we know that Trump has a thing about electrical power wind turbines that obscure the view of his Aberdeen golf course. And so he decided that he would attack windmills, even though the article that he reposted was about North Sea drilling operation, fossil fuel operations. So he demanded that windmills be stopped, in fact, to this, whereas what the article was talking about was windfalls and profit. So, and the media just doesn't take advantage of the fact that the man is losing it. I mean, windfalls are not windmills. But you can imagine if you squint your eyes a little bit and noting that Trump doesn't like using his reading glasses, that you could see that windmill and windfall kind of look the same. Needless to say, that's what we have 4 years more of stupid stuff occurring in social media. So the guy who enabled the January 6th terror attack on the capital of the United States doesn't know the difference between windfall and windmill. And other ridiculousness occurred today. It it The U.S. Congress started its new session, and needless to say, did stupid things like very nearly lost the first round of voting for Speaker of the House. It was very close. It was tied up to a certain point, but it was only tied because a gang of nine GOP representatives decided to withhold their votes to kind of negotiate for better deals for their votes for Speaker. So ultimately, the majority won, and Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House again. He was supported by Trump, needless to say, and government continues. And however it continues. So that's kind of going on. Those little gnocchi guys are there.
Yeah, they're all almost ready to come out. Now, since these are vegan gnocchi, not with the sauce, of course, they don't use egg to bind it. You don't really need it, but I've found if you use some Durham semolina flour,
Mm.
it'll just make them bind a little bit better. Uh, they hold together. Maybe not as fluffy, but
They
I use
won't
a
come apart.
mixture of regular flour and semolina.
Okay, cool. And you were saying that this has a denser type of semolina,
Yeah, so it's Durham semolina for pasta, like what you would make for this is
a coarser grind, I guess, whatever.
well, this is fine grind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
just don't use a lot.
All right.
So
All right.
yeah, mostly white. But I mean, it depends. You just have to cook them longer, and they'll be heavier if you use all Durham semolina. So I just use a bit to bind it better while still maintaining fluffiness. And as you can see, they are finished. So that was under 2 minutes. So once they're floating, you can pretty much take them out.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Chewy.
You're done.
Yum. Nice.
They use a little chi water, make a sauce. Be delicate and gentle with them.
Nice. What are you going to have with it? Are you just going to have that a
It's
standalone
midnight
meal
snack.
midnight? Ready.
Oh no. Oh no. I don't have a wooden spoon for a non-stick.
Anna made the comment, isn't that too much butter for just one serving of gnocchi? Just asking
It's
for my cardiologist.
I've got four other night owls to feed here, so this is just for us. Thanks for your
Yeah,
concern now.
can never have too much butter. Bruce is quite right. Oh,
There we go.
very nice.
Oops. I think I'm going to do something with my lighting system here.
Looks fine.
Yeah, quick and easy. Lovely midnight snack.
Warms you up on the in snowy evenings. Speaking of which, the Ukrainians have decided not to allow Russian natural gas to be piped through Ukraine. So that's a big deal. And they're going to probably attack certain junctions over the Russian border and natural gas pipelines. So
Mm.
stuff's going on. There's other stuff going on aside from winter warfare. As we come up on the what is it, the fourth anniversary of wait a second, two, three, four, two, no, what, two, three, four, yeah, third anniversary of in next month of the attack, of the invasion of the special military operation by Russia into Ukraine.
Has the name of it changed?
No, it's still a special military operation. It's not a war to the Russians. And the Russian media sort of treats it like, well, it's just those Ukrainians. It's like if Texas decided to secede or something, there'd be military action, but it'd still be part of the U.S., or at least that's the general conception of it. Although the Russians have been fiddling around in Moldova, and then there's some problem in Transnistria, which is the little sliver that's between Moldova and Ukraine, which is a little Russian thing, but it has power problems too. I think it has something to do with either fuel oil or natural gas or something, and that they have issues there. So there's uh, power is a problem, electrical power and heat, etc., is at risk. So that's kind of what's going on. And it's cold where you are. It's cold now in the U.S. It's finally gotten down to big storms coming across the U.S. that are going to shut down entire states or something. So there's that.
Oh, are we
Or
at the end? Did you have more? Did you have a rant, or did you already do the
oh no,
rant?
no, I didn't have a rant. I mean, I have plenty of things to
Oh,
rant about, but no, I don't have a specific rant other than being depressed about that January 6th is coming up, that we have the onset of what essentially will be a nationwide attempt to inject Project 2025 of the Heritage Foundation into national policy. So there's that. Um,
so much
but
to look forward to.
I don't know if John's here yet, but Mr. Whipple is coming to Twilight Zone tonight, right?
Yes, he is. Mr. Whipple.
He's gonna squeeze Charmin or something, right? Or no, whatever.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Mr. Whipple squeeze the Charmin. Um, or please don't squeeze the Charmin, right?
That's right.
Well, he was, I don't know what he was concerned about, but in any event, on the Twilight Zone, we are going to see a ruthless businessman. I'm not quite sure if he's a capitalist. It's a little strange since the business is named Whipples and his last name is Whipple, but I'm not sure that he has an ownership stake in the business. Um,
Oh,
maybe we'll clarify that.
Now,
Yeah.
ruthless businessman, is that an oxymoron?
there we go.
I don't think so.
Buggy
Uh,
Whipple. Yeah.
yes. So again, we'll have a lot to talk about, I think, from this episode.
Just the Whipple thing, I think, gets us all off in a weird direction.
Hmm.
We don't have anything else scheduled for after that except perhaps music or ranting or something. I think we're going to watch something else on the weekend. Do you want to preview Twilight Zone for Sunday, John?
Star Trek?
Oh, I mean, yes. Star Trek. I'm sorry.
Yes, Star Trek Next Generation on Sunday. The Ferengi are back,
Oh, God.
but they're less animated, shall we say, than last time.
They
They're
don't
not
have their
quite as
laser whips.
no laser whips, and they're not spastic. Is that a word that's okay to use?
Yes.
How much copulating will be going on in this one?
I don't think there'll be any, Joe.
A lot less Randy than the last episode.
Oh, definitely less
Oh,
Randy. Yeah, that's a disappointment.
Your women wear clothes. Why do
well,
your women?
before Star Trek and after Weekly Marks, I'll do another Frozen Moment and Antiquity. We'll take a
Excellent.
stroll through an rebuilt Roman villa on the outskirts of it wasn't on the outskirts back then. It was off the main thoroughfare on the island of Kos in Greece,
Cool.
off the Turkish coast.
Excellent.
Hippocrates' old stomping grounds.
Excellent. God, I'm hungry again. Yeah. Let's see.
So
I'm not sure whether we have much of anything else to yak about. There's plenty to yak about, but I'm not sure we want to get into other things. Like there's a group of folks who want to use the Article 3 of the 14th Amendment to stop Donald Trump from taking office. And there's no Democrat who's brave enough to try and try this. And it'd be nice if someone spent a little money to try and initiate a lawsuit, but I don't think that's going to happen. Because technically, Trump should be prohibited from taking office because of the 14th
because
Amendment.
could you remind me what that's about? Is this about
Well,
being a convicted felon or?
that's right. Fomenting insurrection or whatever. So,
Oh yeah.
but the proof of the
Oh,
insurrection
that
thing,
little thing.
would have happened had the Jack Smith court thing in D.C. actually gone through. And apparently today they just announced that Trump is not going to serve any time behind bars. They're going to sentence him, but he's not going to get any jail time.
Good to get that out, you know. Make sure people know that the U.S. judicial system favors the powerful.
God,
And
If it wasn't clear enough already.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't they like the lesson to be sparkling clear.
it's just incredible. I
And
mean,
as far as the 14th Amendment is concerned, what judiciary is going to enforce that? Certainly
hey,
not the U.S. Judiciary. The spineless, totally compromised, just not up to the task of doing what it's supposed to do. Just totally folding over to power.
we need a little Kardashian justice. But anyway,
Oh, I would direct people to the Discord podcast channel. I put in a interview with Lawrence Lessig and
oh, cool.
his recent article he wrote about his very I don't know, naive, but it seems well-informed belief that the Supreme Court, the SCOTUS, will unanimously turn over Citizens United. He has a whole lot of reasoning that's too complicated to get into here, but it made a lot of sense, and he's attempting to do that. So
I haven't seen that yet. Lessig, yeah, is a little on the fringe with all due respect. I mean, his analysis is really good and trenchant, but
you
there's
can see there's a video link of him arguing the case in the Massachusetts in front of the Massachusetts Supreme Court,
cool.
and they actually audibly laugh at his suggestion that the SCOTUS will vote on their conscience and be consistent in their beliefs and rulings.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
somebody's putting whiskey in his apple juice, I think.
yeah, indeed.
It was worth a watch and the read. Highly suggested.
Well,
Inshallah. Yeah, we can always.
there was that brief moment where they wanted to run him for Lessig for president, but that never got anywhere. So, whatever.
Well, on that note, I've got some mouths to feed.
All right, is it time to
So,
go?
I think
Promise that
so.
we'll promise that we'll do this better next week. It's time for Joe's family to eat and for us to get on to other matters. We'll try to do better next week. Bye.
See y'all.
Bye.